Yo, recap Rangers, let's begin the story. One night, in a place called Oryudong, which is in Korea, a baby is crying out loud, and the mother of that baby is calling out for help, where she is requesting if someone could help her, in which the baby is being held by a monster. And no one is trying to save the baby, because this monster had already killed a lot of people who dared to attack it, and the dead bodies are all lying down. The monster is now going to take the life of that baby by using its pointer claws. The monster drove its claw toward the baby's chest, ready to end its life.
But before it could strike, a spray of blood burst into the air, where the people are completely shocked to witness it. But surprisingly, that blood belongs to the monster, as our protagonist sliced the hand of that monster so fast that no one could even see his movement. Now, as the protagonist locked eyes with the beast, the monster's blood boiled like fire, its body twisting and darkening into a crimson horror. Calmly, the MC wiped the blood from his hand, his gaze never wavering. By throwing the child away, the mother of that baby stepped forward and caught the baby safely. The monster, which is blinded by rage, charged with its eyes blazing scarlet, ready to tear him apart. With a thunderous crash, its claws shattered the ground, but the MC was already gone, soaring through the air. In that instant, he unleashed his raw strength, his leg colliding with the monster's jaw like a hammer of judgment, sending the creature hurtling skyward before it smashed violently into a building, the earth itself trembling from the impact.
But that is not the ending of that monster,
where it once again regained its power and is rushing at the protagonist by roaring like a savage abomination. Yet before its fangs could close, the MC unleashed a thunderous uppercut that snapped its head back and shattered teeth into the air. The beast staggered, but the fight had only just begun. With his fist clenched tight and his muscles swelling with raw power, the MC erupted forward, each strike landing like an iron hammer, blow after blow crashing down, every hit heavier, sharper, and deadlier than the last, until the monster's body shook beneath the relentless storm of fists. The monster is crushed to death by that barrage of attacks, and it fell down as it no longer has any power left.
All the people have stood froze, as they are shocked to see that our MC just killed that monster with such brute strength. Then slowly the crowd has begun to applaud the MC for being a brave warrior. They are cheering for him so much. However, the protagonist is not interested in fame and turns around. Then the mother of that baby thanks the MC deeply from her heart. She is asking how to repay the MC for saving her child, and he turned back and told her that she doesn't need to worry about that. And after saying those words, he lunged into the sky, where he is taking the support of the buildings to fly higher. That is when a man in the crowd at last remembered the nickname of the protagonist, Whitecap Superhuman, where people like the protagonist with special talents are called superhumans. In a school named SEO, Yunhai, which is in Incheon, a teacher is explaining about his subject, where the topic is about natural disasters, but the students in the back bench are not into the lesson, because the teacher is blabbing nonstop. And that is when a boy is showing his screen to the other one, as to how the Whitecap dealt with the monster a week ago, and the other boy is really a big fan of Whitecap, so he is surprised to see that someone has filmed the fight of Whitecap so closely. The two students are astonished to see the performance of the Whitecap. There are comments where people are really liking Whitecap due to his heroic feats, and there are also some who are thinking that they would also have done the same thing if they were at the incident. As the teacher saw the backbench students are causing disturbance in the classroom, the teacher is ready to punish those students, but the emergency alarm of school is blowing. That it is remarking, there is a natural disaster near the Incheon port, and the monsters in this world are known as inhumans. And this emergency alert is from the inhuman alert system, so they are alerting all the faculty and students to quickly go to their respective homes as the classes are all canceled. The teacher is recommending the students to quietly go to their home without roaming around here and there. And a girl is pondering deeply into this natural disaster, because natural disasters are not a common thing, in which rarely 1 or 2 inhumans show up in an entire year only in Korea. But this time, not even 3 months have passed, but this is already the 3rd inhuman showing up this year, and the last inhuman incident had happened only a week ago. A few years ago, a certain inhuman appeared in Korea, and this inhuman killed 70 people on the spot, and the strange thing is, not a single superhuman had caught this inhuman at that time, and nobody knows if this inhuman is alive or not. As the girl saw the blonde-haired man to her side who is sleeping, she didn't even know that he is the White Cap, nor she even knows his name, but she can't just ignore a fellow student when there is a natural disaster taking place. And that is when our MC got a phone from a person called Ju-ri. He woke up and answered the call. Ju-ri on the phone is explaining the situation to White Cap, and White Cap's real name is Lim Kong, a first-year student in Seoin High. Ju-ri made the White Cap know that there is an inhuman incident taking place in the Incheon port, and he will give him the coordinates to that place when White Cap is fully prepared. Now that the White Cap saw the girl who is reaching to him, he inquired as to what she wants, and she explains him about the natural disaster, and that they all need to head back to their homes. Then the White Cap by yawning told her that he has no choice but to continue his nap at home. The girl leaves the classroom as she did her part, and the MC now opens his bag and checks if he brought all his materials. In the Incheon port, a truck is accelerating at the Inhuman, where the driver is fueled by adrenaline and had thought of crushing the Inhuman by ramming with his truck. Ironically, the truck is not strong enough to move the Inhuman to at least a single step. The driver is now regretting that he should have calmly left this place, where the Inhuman is glaring at the driver as if a Grim Reaper is watching at him. Then by raising its arm, the Inhuman crushed the truck in a single blow. There are some workers who are spectating the Inhuman from afar, as they got no chance to escape from the port area. The other person next to the worker is sobbing uncontrollably, where he hadn't got the chance to at least say goodbye to his wife. So the worker is consoling that person that military will soon arrive to this location, since everyone got the news about this place. And even if the Inhuman shows up before the military's arrival, the worker tells the other person that he knows some fighting techniques, so he can buy some time. Nonetheless, the Inhuman is watching the worker's drama silently from above the container, where the other person's eyeballs have almost popped out of his eyes by that shock. In the bathroom of the school, the White Cap is dressing up so that others wouldn't recognize him. As our White Cap hidden all his stuff perfectly, he stated to Ju-ri that he is now moving to Incheon port, so Ju-ri needs to tell him the directions accurately. That is when the White Cap jumps from the window and now moves to the Incheon port as quickly as possible. On the port area, the worker also noticed the Inhuman peeking at them. He didn't know what to do, but he is prepared to fight the monster, yet the Inhuman knocked out the worker before he could even speak. The Inhuman then slapped the other person to the container as well, where the head of that man got crushed by that force. Unexpectedly, there is another worker who is hiding here as well, and he is now trying to run away from the Inhuman. At that time, the Inhuman started chasing that worker. In a split second, it landed right behind the worker, which made him feel terror and paralyzed for a moment. On that point, the monster placed its hand on top of the worker, in which the worker is begging the Inhuman to spare his life. Yet the Inhuman hurled him at the containers, and as soon as he got slammed to a container, he somehow managed to stay alive even after that impact. But the Inhuman is standing in front of him as if it is here to fulfill the duties of the Grim Reaper. And only now had the worker realized that the thing ahead of him is an Inhuman, so he just needs to accept his death. But that is when someone tossed a wrench at the Inhuman, which distracted the monster from the worker, and as the Inhuman glimpsed to the back, this person is the boss in this Incheon port area. The White Cap is running at his top speed according to Ju-ri's directions, and unbelievably, White Cap is moving at the speed of an airplane. Then Ju-ri informed to White Cap that the Inhuman Subjugation Task Force, also known as ISSDF, is also on their way to the port area, and this task force is basically military people. However, they are equipped with weapons and items that can manage to buy some time until a superhuman can arrive. White Cap alerted Ju-ri that he can see the port area, so Ju-ri needs to start being vigilant. At the port area, the boss is shouting that the worker needs to take this chance and to run away, while the boss will try his best to prolong until the ISSDF arrives here. As the monster is glowering at the boss, the worker is too shocked that he cannot even move his legs, although he has the chance to flee, while the boss is getting anxious as the monster is focused on him, where the worker is not even using this opportunity. The boss had thought of running away on his own, but his will didn't allow him to do it, as he couldn't bring himself to protect his own life while sacrificing his workers. The boss has a wife and a child, and now he is starting to get emotional, where he is hoping to be forgiven by his family as he is going to sacrifice himself. Strangely, the Inhuman just rotated to the right side and is leaving the place as he had lost his interest. The boss is starting to get relived as the monster is leaving this place. But that is when the Inhuman grabbed a container fiercely by using its brute strength. With his eyes sparking with red-colored aura, the monster blasted off the container with terrifying force, and the boss had at last accepted his death.
Fate was on his side today, as a strong person with the acceleration of lightning had made an entrance. The protagonist, with a shattering force, struck the container. The boss had his eyes bulged out of his face by that dramatic entry. As the Whitecap slid on the ground, tearing through the land, he made a statement to the monster.
You pathetic monster. Fight someone with equal or greater than your power level. Today I will annihilate you down with my hands for killing all those innocent people.
Both the worker and the boss have inhaled some oxygen after seeing that a superhuman is here to save them. Juri reveals that he is actually pretty nervous right now, and he wants to know if Whitecap is also feeling the same. But Whitecap, without answering to Juri, just stares at the monster calmly, and the same goes for the Inhuman too. Now Whitecap asks Juri if he needs to communicate with the Inhuman, and from the camera that is attached to Whitecap's belt, this young man with red hair is Juri, who is speaking to Whitecap through wireless communication, and Juri replies that Whitecap should take this opportunity and check it out once. In the past, the red-haired guy told Whitecap that Inhumans are the same as animals that kills indiscriminately. However, there might be a slim chance where some of them may have the ability to talk to humans. So before engaging in a battle, the red-haired guy suggested Whitecap to talk to the Inhumans before starting the fight, so that they can know the objective of the Inhumans as to where they are coming from and why they are killing people. Providing that, Whitecap is capable of killing the Inhuman no matter the case. So the red-haired guy tells that they have nothing to lose if Whitecap can communicate with them first, rather than killing them outright. And based on those words, Whitecap is now speaking to the Inhuman, that he met a lot of Inhumans, but no one has the ability to speak, so he is telling the beast to speak something if it can understand what he is saying. At this moment, a helicopter is flying on top of the incident, where the news reporters are here to deliver the news to all over the world, and the lady is reporting the situation, that when the Inhuman is wreaking havoc in the port area, Superhuman Whitecap is here to protect everyone. Furthermore, even the ISSDF had also arrived right now. The head officer, by raising his hand, commanded his troop not to open fire until he orders. A troop member, by analyzing the situation, questioned the officer as to why they are letting Whitecap to fight when they can just kill the monster with high-level weapons. The officer then made things clear to the member that the member is underestimating the Inhuman too much, as this is his first time on the mission, and the officer clarified that even with their advanced weapons, they are no match to the Inhumans. But after researching Whitecap's combat power based on his recent fights, the government agreed to let Whitecap to fight the Inhuman first, and to give him utmost importance in this mission, because if Whitecap fails in the battle, the ISSDF can do nothing. The member is now curious to know, if they are unable to defeat the Inhuman, what is the purpose of their squad? And that is when the officer disclosed that even the ISSDF has a plan B, where a person with mechanical arm is sitting inside a truck.
Whitecap, after seeing no reaction from the monster, stated to the red-haired guy that there is no response from the monster, so he will begin his action. Even the monster is getting riled up, where its body's color is changing to red, and with a roar that split the heavens, the Inhuman braced itself and lunged at the protagonist, smashing the ground and tearing the earth apart with devastating force. Yet Whitecap slipped away in the very last instant. Both the Inhuman and Whitecap are looking at each other, and as the Whitecap is still in the mid-air, the monster swung its hand with a sheer velocity, which made the Whitecap to be slammed to a container. But Whitecap is not an ordinary human to be defeated by single blow. So by locking his eyes on the monster, he created some distance between them. The news reporters are making a live to the whole world, where everyone is praying for the Whitecap to win this match. Even Whitecap's college students are rooting for him. As the Inhuman ran wildly to catch Whitecap, Whitecap can judge that even if the monster has a huge body, it is keeping up with his speed. And right before his thoughts could even finish, the Inhuman once again punched the container with its might. Nonetheless, Whitecap had already shifted his body to the top of the container. Then by driving his body at the monster, Whitecap clenched his fist, ready to slam the monster to the ground, because the monster won't be able to counterattack as its hand is stuck inside the container. But the Inhuman has another card up its sleeve, where it spitted out its tongue, which is as hard as a rock, and as soon as the tongue made contact with the protagonist, Whitecap lost his balance in the mid-air, and the monster took this chance and grabbed his leg. The monster screamed out loud by drawing its hand back with force, where it smacked Whitecap's body into the container with ultimate power.
The Inhuman is going back to its normal color because Whitecap is not coming outside of the container. The member with his voice trembling asked the officer if they need to attack the monster all on their own right now. The officer can't believe that Whitecap has lost this quickly, so by gritting his teeth, he knows this is time for Plan B. Then the officer called for a person named B, and the truck's door had burst opened, on which a man with a mechanical arm had made his presence into the battlefield. Then by aiming his weapon onto the target, he shot a bullet at the monster, and as Inhumans sense the bullet from afar, it is still unable to dodge that bullet even though it is pretty quick. As the Inhuman fell on the ground because of the impact, the officers thought the Inhuman is done for. However, the monster is now regaining its body back onto the track, where its body is slowly changing into red color, and it glared at the gunman as if the gunman is going to die a terrible death. By seeing that the monster is going back to its fighting form, the gunman reloaded his rifle and shot another bullet to knock out the monster. And as the Inhuman is in full red color, it is not even defending itself from the bullets and straight away confronting them. But the gunman is not backing off too. He is shooting bullet after bullet at the monster, and the Inhuman is also closing the distance between them slowly.
It was at this moment the gunman sensed a monstrous presence and looked away from the monster. Even the Inhuman itself was shaken to death by that sudden storm of raging pressure from behind, as an otherworldly aura leaked out from inside the container. This was when Whitecap emerged from the container, informing the red-haired guy that he was not going to hold himself back anymore. The red-haired guy understood that the scenario and told Whitecap to do as he wishes. This is when the Whitecap warned the Inhuman.
The playtime is over, and for all the humans you have killed, I will make you taste the cruelty of death by shattering your flesh and grinding your bones into the earth.
Those words made even the monster breathe heavily. And now, Whitecap is warming up by tapping his leg multiple times on the ground, and within a split second, he is right in front of the Inhuman. He then landed a skull-crushing death blow on its head, and without any delay, he gripped the monster's upper jaw. Using his mighty strength, he broke the ground with his brute force and slammed the Inhuman into the land so hard that the vibrations made the nearby area feel like an earthquake. The military and reporters in the helicopter were all blown away by the wind pressure from that blow.
The area is brazenly calming down with dust and smoke coiling around. Whitecap is shifting his body back to normal position, and all the citizens who are watching this live have all their mouths agape. Even the military officers and reporters are bewildered to witness such a scene. Besides, the beast is also trying to move its body. It lifted its head from the ground, but the backlash from that slam is so powerful that even the Inhuman's willpower is not sufficient, and it collapsed to the ground one more time. Then Whitecap mentioned to the red-haired guy, the Inhuman is now dead, and the red-haired guy is finally taking a breather after hearing that. And Whitecap continued that he heard the Inhuman's brain exploding, so there is no way for the Inhuman to get back again. But if somehow the monster gets back up, Whitecap guarantees that he will destroy it until there is nothing left. He say one thing for sure, that this Inhuman that he fought currently is not as strong as the one that he fought at an island before. The red-haired guy agrees to that, because that spiky Inhuman has a greatest strength and the most formidable opponent that Whitecap ever faced. From the top of a machine, a man with long white hair is spectating the battle. He is expressing to someone that he always likes to watch fights on live like this, rather than watching it on some TV. This white-haired man is really impressed about Whitecap after watching this battle in live, and he whispered to the person next to him that according to the data he has on Whitecap, Whitecap hadn't even used 10% of his true power. The other person is just looking at Whitecap without saying anything. In that manner, the white-haired man jumped in to meet Whitecap. The moment the white-haired man descended on the ground, Whitecap, could be clear that something powerful had arrived. As Whitecap rotated his head to the back to find out what has approached him, he is shocked to see that it is a human, and now he is seeking to know the identity of the white-haired man. The red-haired guy is communicating to Whitecap that Whitecap needs to know more about this white-haired man, as he seems suspicious. After listening to the red-haired guy's advice, Whitecap's eyes have shot upwards. He informed the red-haired guy that there is one more suspicious person on that machine. The lady reporter is reporting this current situation in the broadcast, that as soon as Whitecap defeated the Inhuman, some strange person from somewhere is now having a chat with Whitecap. However, the reporters can't hear what they are speaking, and the military member from the backside is also confounded about this topic. He is questioning his officer as to what they should do, and his officer ordered him to just sit back and do nothing. The white-haired man stated that he was enjoying the battle as Whitecap is dealing with the monster, which reminded him about a certain person called Ketchup Man. The Ketchup Man is a famous TV cartoon character, in which this Ketchup Man acts in a show where he kills the Inhumans to save the world. Whitecap is now blushing, because he is a big fan of Ketchup Man, and now that the white-haired man said that Whitecap fights the same way as Ketchup Man, he is absolutely overwhelmed with joy. The red-haired guy from the other side is suggesting Whitecap to get a grip in this turn of events, and to inquire more about the white-haired man's identity. But Whitecap's mind is still not in this world and questions the white-haired man as to where did his identity come from, to which the white-haired man has no words to answer to that question. The red-haired guy comprehended that Whitecap might be fooled by a few words, but the red-haired guy is not so easy like Whitecap, where he can tell that the white-haired man is a dangerous one to deal with. That is when the white-haired man started speaking, that he always kept a close eye on Whitecap, over the TV broadcasts, social networks, and other streams. From all these scenes, the white-haired man figured out one thing. If there is an Inhuman in Korea, Whitecap would definitely show up at that incident to save people. And that is why the white-haired man is here to meet Whitecap, as he knows Whitecap will be here since there is an Inhuman incident, in which the white-haired man explains himself that he is not going to do anything to the Whitecap, as he is here just to befriend him. Nonetheless, Whitecap is not going to buy that, and questioned as to why does he need to believe someone whom he met for the first time. The red-haired guy from the other side is evoking some past memories about how people tried to attack Whitecap, where two people in suit approached Whitecap in a friendly way and shot tasers all of a sudden to capture him. Coincidentally, the ISSTF is also on the scene at that time. So the red-haired guy is advising Whitecap to be on guard because the white-haired man might also have same objective. The white-haired man could discern what Whitecap is thinking about, so he puts in a question as to what is the word that defines beings like Whitecap are known as. To that question, Whitecap thought for a moment and answered, superhuman. The white-haired man then disclosed to Whitecap that he is also a superhuman, to which both the Whitecap and the red-haired guy are dumbfounded to hear that. And the white-haired man continued that not only him, there are a lot of other superhumans with different kind of powers in this world, but in all the superhumans that the white-haired man ever met, there is only one superhuman whose power he couldn't figure out, and that is Whitecap. Even though the red-haired guy suspected that there might be a possibility of more superhumans other than Whitecap, because there are already two superhuman who are in USA, but he never knew that there is one more superhuman in Korea other than Whitecap. In USA right now, a bald person wearing a headset is listening to the news which is being broadcasting through the chopper, and this bald man informs to the individual standing beside him that the situation is not looking good, and the individual speaks out that they have seen him somewhere before, and the bald guy let the individual knows that Whitecap is pretty famous, so obviously one can feel that way. But the individual, who is a woman, then clears out that she is not talking about Whitecap, but about the white-haired man. She wants to know what they are talking about, and the bald sadly replied that it would not be possible, as the chopper is not near to them. In Scotland, at a place called Burger Kim, an elderly lady is also watching the TV broadcast, and then her sister interrupts her and says that they are supposed to attend the famous musician Justin Bieber's show. In Moscow, the blonde-haired guy asks the big fat man if he had ever seen that white-haired man before, and the big man aggressively answered that he had never seen someone like that before. The blonde-haired guy has an intuition that the white-haired man might be a superhuman, but the pink-haired man doesn't care about that, because he can feel something creepy about the white-haired man. Now coming back to Korea, Whitecap gives his honest opinion that he is not even going to bother if the white-haired man is a superhuman or not. So he tells him not to follow him anymore. As the Whitecap is now going back to his home, the white-haired man lifted his head a bit higher and still wanted to have a bit more conversation with Whitecap, but Whitecap is leaving because he is starving right now. Seeing that Whitecap is leaving, the white-haired man made Whitecap know that he has no other choice but to meet him later at his school. After hearing that, Whitecap stopped moving and rotated his back with his eyes wide open because of that shock, and not only him. Even the red-haired guy is stupefied by that. The white-haired man confirms that Whitecap is a student when he removes that mask, and Whitecap has no idea as to how his real identity is known to a stranger. Tension is piling up for the red-haired guy as well. Given that, the white-haired man consoles Whitecap that his secret is safe with him, as his lips are sealed tight. Furthermore, he even tells Whitecap to reassure the red-haired guy who is talking to him through the earpiece. Both Whitecap and the red-haired guy have no words to speak, because the white-haired man knows about the red-haired guy too. Now the white-haired man carried on that he is aware of the fact that the mask Whitecap is wearing right now is made by the red-haired guy, where there is also a small camera on the cap's belt. The white-haired man is really interested in the red-haired guy, that he is resisting his body so much not to kidnap the red-haired guy. Now that the white-haired man is thinking about it, he is planning to pay a visit to the red-haired guy when Whitecap is attending school. The red-haired guy is inwardly cursing the white-haired man as to how much did he uncovered.
Then the white-haired man, by chuckling, told the MC to cool down a bit, but a brutal aura of overwhelming force had already been unleashed. Whitecap was cracking his knuckles, fully prepared to take down the opponent. The military officers who cannot hear what they are speaking can tell one thing with their perception. The surroundings themselves might collapse under the crushing weight of Whitecap's aura. The red-haired guy is shouting not to engage in a battle right now, and the white-haired man is stating that he is not an enemy here, where they can continue their talk without any hostility. But Whitecap, with his unmatchable aura, has said only one point.
The red-haired guy is my only family, so I am going to make sure that no one ever places a single hand on him.
That declaration made the white-haired man to flinch, because the aura was roaring like a wild beast. Yet the white-haired was not backing down anymore. He too unleashed his peerless black aura and declared,
"Then, I have no other choice but to fight."
That was when Whitecap charged like an unstoppable monstrous beast, leaping into the air with his fist clenched. With a single blow that shook the heavens, the white-haired man defended his body and blocked that punch. Both the Whitecap and the red-haired guy are stunned to see that, but with unyielding determination, Whitecap bit his lips, broke free from the posture, and swung his hand at the white-haired man. But the man had already evaded that strike. Whitecap is awestruck to see the white-haired man to escape. Now the white-haired man is wall-standing on top of Whitecap's hand, and the white-haired man perceived a point. That is, Whitecap only made a bold declaration and unleashed a lot of aura, but even now Whitecap is not using his real power, and is hesitating to use his full power in his punches.
Now the white-haired man moves away from that position and lands on the ground. Then by looking at Whitecap, the white-haired man suggested Whitecap to not pull his punches back and to use his everything, because only fools would show generosity in a fight like this, when his opponent is also a superhuman. And with his eyes radiating crimson color, he noted one important part to Whitecap.
"I will tell you this myself. Once we get started, this whole place will be blown to smithereens, because we won't be able to stop until everything is destroyed."
Whitecap's mind is completely messy, where he is thinking of not to let go the white-haired man, but he is also not willing to destroy the surroundings just for a single fight, and that is why Whitecap not used his full power to knock out the white-haired man. Providing that, the red-haired guy realized Whitecap's intentions and advised him that what the white-haired man said is not at all wrong, because this is not about winning or losing, but at the same time it bothers him that some stranger who they have never seen knows all their information. As such, he tells Whitecap to let go of this situation for this once, because his opponent is also superhuman, and they don't even know his powers yet, and it is not even confirmed if he is an enemy. After looking at the Whitecap who is just silently listening to the red-haired guy, the white-haired man came to a conclusion that Whitecap is not interested in a battle anymore. So he waved his hand off as a gesture that he wants to meet Whitecap at a later time. Then Whitecap calls the white-haired man as he has something to say, where he is seeking to learn the man's name, and he introduced himself as Lim Kong first. Now the white-haired man smiled and introduced himself too, that his name is Nanji. The girl from the above now comes down, and the white-haired man informs the girl that their meeting with the Whitecap is completed, and he called the girl as Danyang. This hoodie girl offered the white-haired man that if he is okay with it, she can take a look at his arms. Because from blocking that punch from Whitecap before, the white-haired man's hands have swollen and trembling vividly as the force is not an ordinary one even to a superhuman. And what's more frightening is, Whitecap hesitated using his power a lot in that punch. The white-haired man chuckled softly and informed the girl that there is no need for that, and appreciated for her caring. Like that, the both of them have vanished into thin air, and the people who are watching from the USA are surprised to see, as they don't even know why they fought, in the sudden disappearance of the white-haired man. The guys from Russia can see through that Whitecap and the white-haired man must have paused their fight because of the effects and damage that is going to happen, but the blonde-haired man couldn't grasp why Whitecap is the first one to attack. Back in Korea, as Whitecap is leaving because his work is over, two people have come forward and called out Whitecap. The two workers were the boss and the worker, and showing their deepest gratitude for protecting them. The boss don't know as to how he can repay to such an outstanding person, so he presented that Whitecap must have starving because of the fight, and he happens to know a good place that sells nice ramen. Whitecap refused the offer in a polite manner, and told them that he is alright. With that, Whitecap hurled into the sky like a rocket, and is on his way back to his home. As the military officer saw Whitecap leaving the place, he commanded his recovery team to quickly pick up the inhuman corpse and to place it inside the vehicle. The gunman from aside is explaining his point of view, where he is not impressed with the weapons he is using at all, and he can say for sure that the problem doesn't lie in the bullet, because no matter how much they upgrade it, he cannot see any progress. So he is requesting the officer to provide him with something revolutionary, or else the ISSDF will all die a meaningless death. The officer can observe the seriousness and determination in the gunman's eyes, so he responded that he will speak to the higher-ups about this topic, and he will do his best to support the gunman. Now the officer is receiving a call. As he lifted the call, he greeted the other person and informed that everything is going smoothly. The officer informed to the other person that, as soon as Whitecap left the place, they are now on their duty to transport the inhuman corpse. This man with nerdy glasses is Baek Oh-jin, the ISSDF commander. The commander is questioning as to why does he have to make the call first, when the officer needs to make the call as soon as the inhuman is taken down. Before the officer could apologize for his mistake, the commander forewarned him that the most important part in this is the transportation of the inhuman corpse, where the commander has already dealt with the other national agencies, so all the officer needs to do is load the inhuman corpse into the vehicle, and then his duty will be over. The officer informed to the commander that the corpse is already being loaded into a flying drone-type vehicle, so his mission is now completed. Right after the officer ended the call, the commander is now dialing to another person, and when someone answered the call and questioned the commander if there is any emergency, the commander politely declined and replied that everything is going according to the process, and he only called to inform the number of people who died in this inhuman crisis. But the other person just interrupted the commander and spoke boldly that he doesn't care about the number of people who died. All he wants to know is about the transportation of the inhuman corpse. And the commander then briefed in that the corpse is being safely transported to an area called Falcon Area, and the arrival time is tomorrow night. The other person then stated, all the commander has to do is transport the inhuman corpse to the Falcon Area every time an inhuman incident occurs, and with a serious expression, he warned the commander to not waste his time like this, and if the commander has a lot of time, he can try to investigate where the inhumans are coming from, because that would be a lot of help to him. Now that the call has ended, the other person is now adjusting his tie as he had to give a speech right now, in which he is now heading to a stage, where this person is political person named Marcus Gerald. Now that the corpse is loaded, the vehicle is flying and is being transported to the Falcon Area. The member from aside wanted to know more about this vehicle, but the officer informed even he doesn't know anything regarding this, as this vehicle doesn't belong to the ISSDF. The white-haired man is watching the vehicle moving from there, and he predicted that this vehicle will now be headed to the Falcon area. A man with a red cape extended his hand, and then he caught an inhuman with his bare hand and warned it that if the inhuman gives the coordinates of a place called Sherlock Base, he will at least let the monster to live. But this inhuman, which is struggling very hard to escape from the clutches of the red-caped person, he doesn't even look like an inhuman. Furthermore, the inhuman is even trying to reveal the coordinates, but the red-caped person is squeezing the throat like an orange, so it couldn't answer even if it wants to. Now the red-caped person became furious as the monster hadn't disclosed the information although he gave a chance. Now he is going to smash the monster to the ground like a bug, in which the monster is rebuking the red-caped person inwardly. And like that, the red-caped person hurled the monster towards a building. The inhuman got crashed like a meteor, and he is now unconscious because of the damage. But the red-caped person is still not leaving the inhuman as it is, and charging in the direction of the inhuman like a thunderbolt, where all the veins of his hand have bulged out, and with a destructive force, he rammed the inhuman to death. This man is none other than the Ketchup Man, who is our MC's favorite hero. The Ketchup Man is not a bad person, so he is letting the inhuman to run away and inform the person called Sherlock that Ketchup Man will not tolerate if anyone dares to threaten humans. All the nearby people who have watched the fight are now cheering for Ketchup Man. Even women have fallen for his muscles. By looking at this, Ketchup Man just took back his words and is showcasing his powers by beating the inhuman to a pulp. The lady reporter is reporting the situation to the citizens, that Ketchup Man once again saved the world from dangerous monsters. And with that, Ketchup Man took his iconic stance and said goodbye to all the fans, as he is going to come again next week with a new episode. Whitecap is feeling sad because he is not going to see Ketchup Man for another week, and the red-haired guy is snoring out loudly as he is in deep sleep. Now the red-haired guy woke up because of the noise from the TV show, in which he is surprised that Whitecap had woke up early in the morning without getting tired, even though he fought a battle with an inhuman yesterday. Whitecap starts to think about what the white-haired man said yesterday, as to how Whitecap looks similar to Ketchup Man, and the red-haired guy is going back to sleep again, since he heard that compliment 100 times from Whitecap till now. Then the red-haired guy remembers that schools will resume from today back to normal, as the inhuman is dealt quickly. After hearing that, Whitecap prepares himself in a matter of seconds and runs to his school rapidly. On his way to school, Whitecap listens to his fellow students speaking about the fight that happened yesterday. This yellow-haired young man with a smirk is speaking that Whitecap must have been defeated by the white-haired man yesterday, but his friend is negotiating, albeit Whitecap's punch has been blocked. The black-haired student has a deep impression that Whitecap must have gone easy on the white-haired man. Besides, he is reprimanding the yellow-haired guy, that he is speaking like some great savior, when he just kept his tail between his legs as soon as the inhuman showed up. The yellow-haired guy is now flaring up because of that insult. Then he is telling about some rumors that Whitecap is a cyborg created by the military. Seeing that the yellow-haired man is disgracing Whitecap like that, the black-haired person expressed that if he had been a superhuman, he would have beat the crap out of the yellow-haired guy. Now the yellow-haired man challenges the black-haired man to at least land a punch, and the black-haired guy without any setbacks had pulled his hand over to punch him, but his elbow tapped someone who is above 6 feet. That tall guy is now pissed off just because someone touched him, and he is now asserting dominance on the black-haired guy. The yellow-haired guy had no idea as to what he needs to do right now, because he knows who the tall guy actually is. This is when the tall guy's eyes have caught something peculiar, where the protagonist is glaring at him, and the tall guy doesn't like that attitude from someone smaller than him. But Whitecap is just normally looking at him, yet the tall guy could feel that depth in those eyes, and is about to start a fight. Nevertheless, Whitecap, without making this any problematic, apologized to the tall guy, on which the tall guy is threatening Whitecap that he will remember Whitecap's face, and if he sees him somewhere else, he is willing to dig out the eyeballs of our MC. The yellow-haired guy is cussing out that the tall guy is attending to school, but he didn't even brought a bag. Then he whispered to his friend that they are now screwed, since that tall guy is not an average bully. Then he started to narrate the story of a gang called Gundu Gang. This is an organization that is created in a middle school, and this gang is made by a person called Park Gun-do, where this person fought all the bullies that are in middle school, including his seniors. Most of the students who are in this gang have strengths above that of an average high schooler. Currently, this gang is reigning all the schools present in Incheon. And because this is a new school, most of the members who belong to this gang have joined in here. So this school has the biggest power, but at the same time, it will be in hell for average or weak students. And that tall guy who just passed them is one of 3 heads of this gang. He is basically the second in command, Choi Taek. Now his friend is catching his head in fear, because he is afraid of being treated like a slave. In first year, class 3, this hoodie girl snapped out of her sleep as someone called for her. The other girl who had a silver hair said that the hoodie girl needs to stop going out for boxing, as it is damaging her face. Yet the hoodie girl replied that she knows what she is doing and told the silver-haired girl to get back into her class. Now Whitecap arrives to the class and is about to take his seat. As he sat down, the silver-haired calls him to alert that his pants zip is open. Whitecap is now adjusting his zip, where the silver-haired girl is going back to her class as she had enough fun today. On the other side, Whitecap's zip is completely broken out, so he won't be able to zip up his pant for today. This girl in a hoodie is Hong Moo-hee, Seoyeon High first year, class 3. Now the classes begin, and the professor is expressing his concern about the rise in inhumans lately. He drew a basic diagram of an inhuman, and is going to teach the students about inhumans in today's lesson. And to the teacher's shock, all the students are excited in this, because the teacher is not teaching them about maths or science. Inhuman, it means they are a species that is not a human, and so far, these inhumans target humans as their prey, and they also possess strength levels above an average muscular human. They are strong enough to crush a truck with a single blow, and their speed is about 200 kilometers per hour, which is 125 miles per hour. Almost every human thinks that they can escape from an inhuman until they directly come across one, and fathoms how terrifying they are. The US recently announced the record of things that have happened in the past 5 years, where a total of 37 inhumans have appeared, and to date, there have been a total of 517 deaths. Among them, Korea has a total of 6 inhuman incidents. With the count of yesterday's inhuman, it would be 7 inhuman incidents. According to a saying where, when evil rises, divinity will also begin to reign. That is how superhumans also have emerged. The superhuman Whitecap has dealt the last 5 inhuman incidents out of the 7. He is a powerful superhuman who is formidable enough to take down all 5 inhumans charging at him all at once. But no one knows the true identity of Superhuman Whitecap, where it is surprising that even government doesn't know about his identity. Even if they ignore who is Whitecap, not even a single one knows how the superhumans and inhumans showed up out of nowhere. But the people had no choice but to place their hope on Whitecap and other superhumans, because they are the only ones who can finish off these inhumans. Back in 2015, where Whitecap hadn't made an entry as a superhuman, the first inhuman in the world was spotted in Korea, and it was defeated by someone mysterious, but 15 people have already been dead. However, just when the people are getting relaxed when they comprehended that superhumans are powerful than inhumans, an incident occurred in 2016, where 75 people have dead on the spot, and over 100 people were injured. This is the first ever inhuman that is undefeated by a superhuman. This incident took place before Whitecap showed up. And this inhuman even has a name, the undefeated inhuman, Heptahorn. This name is given to him because it has 7 horns, and this is the first and only inhuman that lived after making an appearance. According to the witnesses, a few people have reported that a superhuman with a long hair emerged and fought against the Heptahorn. But after a few minutes, that long-haired man is nowhere to be found, and the Heptahorn disappeared into the sky. This incident is later analyzed by a lot of experts and government officials, yet they couldn't come to a conclusion. Afterwards, it is deemed that the long-haired man is killed by the inhuman, and the Heptahorn, which is injured by the long-haired man, had went into hiding to make a powerful comeback. Since this incident, the world has officially announced a special force, the ISSDF, Inhuman Subjugation Special Task Force, that could at least buy some time for the superhumans, and to keep a close eye on the battle so the government could figure out the weaknesses of an inhuman. Right now, there are 4 unsolved mysteries. The first one is the connection between these 3 beings, Whitecap, long-haired superhuman, and the heptahorn. Nobody knows who the long-haired superhuman is, and if he is alive or not. The second one is the whereabouts of the heptahorn. The third one is who is Whitecap, where Whitecap made an appearance after the disappearance of both the long-haired man and the heptahorn. And the last and the biggest mystery is, from where did the Inhumans come from, and what is their purpose? Regardless, all the students have fallen into deep sleep, which made the professor to get irritated. Hence, he wakes up all the students to tell them one last thing, that the duty of a student is to learn, but that doesn't mean students always needs to read maths books. Presently, the world is in a chaos, so the students need to protect their life. Only then can they do whatever they want in their life. As what can a person do even if he learns a lot of books and unable to protect his life? With those words, the professor is taking his leave. The professor is going to his home early today, because today is the anniversary of his dead son, who was murdered by an inhuman. The professor is not being able to hold his tears, since he was unable to protect his son from an inhuman. I guess this is the only maths professor who suggested children to give more priority to their life, rather than reading books. At lunchtime, the fat guy is making a fuss that he is quite hungry today, and the spiky dude beside him is scolding him, that the fat guy is always hungry. To which the fat guy makes an excuse, that his mom is packing little amount of food nowadays, because he gained weight recently, and the spiky dude gave a counter, that if the fat guy had a conscience, he wouldn't say that he gained weight recently. The spiky dude, by looking at a girl behind him, is pondering that there isn't a single girl in their class who looks pretty, and the fat guy responded that the girls would also think the same about the spiky dude. Likewise, both the spiky dude and the fat guy are arguing nonstop, where the spiky dude's name is Wu Changriol from class 3, and the fat guy's name is Li Daibang from class 3 too. Now the fat guy is reminding the spiky dude that they are quite lucky compared to the higher numbered classes, because those classes are filled with the Gundu gang. In class 7, the third in command of the Gundu, Nam Gung Mu, is present, and in class 8, the second in command, the tall guy, Choi Taek, is present, and in class 10, Park Gundu, the leader of the gang, is present. And the rest of the classes from class 5 to 10 are filled with a lot of lackeys from the Gundu gang. So basically classes 1 to 4 can breathe some air, as there are only 1 or 2 Gundu members in each of these classes. As the spiky dude looked back, he can see a blondie with smug expression who is also from the Gundu gang, named Gi Duk Gun, and he is the only one in class 3, so the blondie is thinking of himself like a king. Now that the spiky dude takes a close look, he can see someone taller behind the blondie, and this person is Quan Chul, and he is also in class 3. The spiky dude recognizes this guy, because Quan Chul is the best fighter in their middle school, and more importantly, Quan Chul is not fond of fame and status. He only fights when someone bullies him. A person who once reigned like a student's king got trampled by Quan Chul, because that student king is jealous of Quan Chul's good looks, and tried to bully him. Now that the fat guy is hearing this story, he is regretting that he should have been friends with Quan Chul back in his middle school. Even after he filled his plate with food, the fat guy is requesting the lady to add more food into his plate. The lady responded that the food in his plate will be enough for him. Yet the fat guy made an emotional face and is begging the lady that he is becoming thin nowadays, so he needs to eat more. That is when the spiky dude gave a boot to the fat guy, because he couldn't bear to hear that the fat guy is becoming skinny. Whitecap is filling his mouth with food, and someone is sitting beside him. It is Quan Chul. He questioned Whitecap as to why does he always eats alone, but on the other hand, Quan Chul also eats alone every day as he had no friends. By looking at Whitecap, he asks that if Whitecap also had no friends, to which Whitecap knows that he had the red-haired guy, but he considers the red-haired guy more like a family rather than a friend, so he replies with a gloomy expression that he too doesn't have any friends. Quan Chul unexpectedly looked at Whitecap's hand, and he instantly asked him if Whitecap is doing any kind of sports, given that he maintains good physique. Whitecap answered that he is self-learning Taekwondo. Then Quan Chul proposed that they should be friends from now on, to which Whitecap agreed to that. In that fleeting moment, a student was sent flying as if someone attacked him. As he creased on the ground, the tall guy, who is the second in command, is here. He is furious since this student hadn't gave him a way to have some food, so the tall guy is bullying this kid with his squad. All the girls and boys have paused eating their food and are looking at the scene, where Kwon Chul is looking at them as if he doesn't give a damn about this gang, and Whitecap is quietly eating his food. The tall guy is having a lot of trouble controlling his anger lately, so he is now going to take a quick look around and just beat up 5 guys that he don't like the look of. The tall guy now caught the student's head as he is going to first one out of the 5 guys, as the tall guy is really annoyed just cause the student blocked his way. Even if the student is apologizing a lot of times, the tall guy is not letting him go. On that occasion, someone shouted at the tall guy to stop his actions. It is the girl in yellow hottie. The tall guy raised his voice at the girl to say those words once again if she has the guts, and she responded,
"You heard what I said. Stop it, you piece of garbage."
That statement made all the students to be bewildered even more. Now the tall guy slapped the student aside as his focus shifted towards the hottie girl. He is wondering if there is something mixed in today's food, as everyone is acting all high and mighty in front of him. As he stood before the hottie girl, he warned her one last time that he is a bastard who doesn't even hold back against girls. Yet the hottie girl still brought up some courage and faced him, that she can't believe she is attending school with a lot of scumbags in it. The tall guy got triggered by those words and is about to slap the girl, but a person at last came forward to stop this nonsense. That is Kwon Chul. All the students, including the tall guy's squad members, are looking forward to see what's going to happen. The spiky dude is pushing the fat guy's head, as he cannot watch the fight properly because of that jumbo head. The tall guy launched a powerful blow at Kwon Chul, to which Kwon Chul had to take several steps back, but he didn't fell on the ground. Now he made a declaration.
"I will end this whole bullying by breaking all the bones in your body."
The spiky dude and the fat guy are fired up to see Kwon Chul joining in this clash. Now Kwon Chul is striking back with his full momentum, and the hit was so strong that it even made the tall guy to back down 3 steps. But Kwon Chul didn't stop it there, where he moved forward like a wild beast and death a cataclysmic strike with his ultimate surge of power. That smash made even Whitecap to look in a daze, and the tall guy's squad members are now trying to gang up on Kwon Chul. But the tall guy's still standing there like a jungle dominator, and now he is going to take out his sweater as he is planning to use his full power too. Kwon Chul is dumbfounded to see that his best strike didn't inflict much damage on the tall guy. In that moment, someone's voice echoed through the hall to cease their actions, in which the third in command of the Gundu gang, Nam Gung Yu, is here. The tall guy is forewarning the third in command, whose nickname is Radish Head, to back off from this hall, as this is the tall guy's fight. And the hoodie girl from behind is spooked for a moment after seeing the Radish Head, as she thought that the Radish Head was an inhuman for a second. And surprisingly, the Radish Head's face and hairstyle kind of match an inhuman style. The Radish Head is recommending the tall guy to stop this nonsense, because a teacher is on his way, and it will be an uproar if this issue is witnessed by a teacher. The fat guy is getting frightened after seeing the Radish Head, and the spiky dude is pondering that the Radish Head looks like he ate a teacher before coming in here. The fat guy is filling in the spiky dude that the Radish Head is the biggest one compared to others, even if he is the third in command. Besides, he is most ruthless one out of all the Gundu gang. The tall guy had no choice but to retreat, as he cannot do anything if the matter is going to involve teachers into this. But he glared back and threatened Kwon Chul. "I am really going to tear you apart once I get the chance, Kwon Chul." Not only the tall guy, even the Radish Head is looking forward to beat the crap out of Kwon Chul, and he is trying his best to hold his anger right this moment. The other students are pretty much terrified by that. And Whitecap just burped out after finishing his meal. But the sound just resonated like an earthquake, and Whitecap had shut his mouth as he is too embarrassed by that. Yo, recap Rangers, due to some problems this video has been delayed for a long time, but from now on, there won't be any issues regarding new video updates. Thanks for watching.